Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Gladys Creations Part 2. My name is Gladys, and today I'm participating in a collaboration with my friend Tiffany from Simply Blessed DIYs. And today we're doing the Homie Gnomie collaboration that we do every month, and it's Halloween themed. That's kind of hard to say together, but yeah, it's gonna be lots of fun. I have three DIYs. Now they're gonna be running a little bit fast, okay, because it's a long video. It's 45 minutes long because it's very detailed, but it's lots of fun because you could do what you want with the if you want to change it. All right, so let's get on to project number one. All right, and here my son had ordered these doll clothes. They're 18-inch doll clothes, and this is where I'm getting that you can create it yourself any way you want. Okay, and I love them little itty bitty boots. So here's the sweater, and what I'm doing is I'm fitting it to see exactly how I want it to be and how long it's going to be. And then I start sculpting it. What I do is I cut 2 inches for the second one. Okay, and there you go. That's the piece that I'm going to use. And then I glue it together. Okay, and that would be the whole like upper torso body for the gnome. Okay, now here I'm gonna use Type on Quick and Thick. Okay, I put it in that little bottle, but it was clogged up, and that's why it was taking me long there to put it on. And then I add some hot glue and I attach it, clean all off the edges, and then I start shaping it so it's not so squared blocked. Okay, so I shaved the edges, the neck area, the sides, the bottom of the torso, and stuff like that. This got really messy, so this is what slowed me down because it kept dirtying like everything. I had to stop and vacuum and clean, and that's what took me so long with this DIY. All right, so there, I took the sweater and the pants and put it on because I want to see what the measurement of how long I'm going to be cutting everything. So I cut off an inch from each one of these little rollers. So I open it up, pull um the little chip off the bottom, and I cut off an inch, okay, from the foam. See, that's what I'm marking right there. And I cut it. I leave the wire exposed. I don't cut the wire, only the foam on all four of them. And then I make sure that I straighten them out, okay, because it when you got to make them straight and stuff. And I left this in so you could see, okay, how I had it. You see how they all are on the top. Now here I'm gonna glue the head on. I glue that on also with the Type on and hot glue. Okay, then I take my hot glue gun and I do like squiggly marks all around the head, because if you haven't guessed yet, we're making a Freddy Cougar gnome. By request from my son. My son wanted this. So I take this dark green paint and I paint the stripes on his shirt. Okay, all the way across. I forget what kind of dark green it was. It was from it's called dark green, but Hauser dark green. That's what it is, and it's by Deco Art. Okay, and there I do the stripes, two on the chest and the back area, and two rows on the arm. And I do the back and the front of this shirt. Okay, I don't know if I show you the whole thing. I think I do. No, I don't. I don't show you the whole thing. So there we've moved on, and now I am painting the head, and I painted it with the sun-kissed peach, and I painted the nose and the hands, okay? And I painted also the body, the torso, because that green foam really sheds. I never realized how much it sheds powder. Like, it was shedding powder everywhere. Then I took red, and I mixed it right in there with a little bit of chocolate brown, okay? And I went over every one of the squiggly lines to make the scars like stand out, like kind of raw, like his burn scars are. His burn scars are like really like, they look like they're fresh, okay? So I did that all the way around. Then I take antique wax and I dry brush his whole head, and because he's burnt, and the story behind Freddy Krueger is that he gets burnt and stuff. So that's what I did. I dry brushed him, okay, his head, and I glue on his nose, and I had problems with that. It kept wanting to fall off and stuff, but I fill in the end the beads, the holes with hot glue too, and you see, and then I tried dry brushing it, and the whole nose came right off, and then I had to do it again, hold it for a little bit, and then I tried it again, and then there I was able to like wipe it off and stuff, and it stayed on. All right, and there he didn't want to stay in the foam. I was, oh my goodness. Now here from Dollar Tree, I used those little circles to help me make circles, because I'm really bad with making circles. And here we're doing the brim of the hat, and it's the 3-inch circle. Okay, it's perfect size, and I cut it out of poster paper, and it gets a little bit dirty and wavy and squiggly and all that, but that's okay. I poke a hole in the middle, and then I do a little star, and I actually make it like a domino pizza kind of slice, because it didn't want to go in, it was like a pizza, there. You see how thin they are, like that. And then I pull them all up, okay? Because we're going to put that in the inside of the hat, of the top hat. So you don't see those little triangles on the bottom, okay? So there I take the hat itself. This is going to be the top part of the hat, and it's 2 inches tall. Okay, so I measure it out, cut it out, and then I'm going to wrap it around, gluing each triangle to the paper, okay, one by one. I also cut the top part of the hat and set that to the side. Okay, so there I start, okay, and I am going to glue every little triangle to each part of the paper, and keep going all the way around the poster paper, the poster board, okay? And I guess I show you the whole thing of me doing this. Now that, I didn't remember I showed you at all. I guess because it's the way that it's done. A lot of people don't do it this way. They usually do the hat and put it inward, and then cut it that way. With that top part of the hat, but I did it this way because I wanted to hide those little triangles. And there you go, see how it fits. Then I take the top and I cut that. Oh, I thought I cut that. Oh no, I cut the circle for the top. I cut the material, okay, and I use a chalk pencil, those sewing chalk pencils, and I put it on the fabric, And then I cut that out. And then to cut the middle part, what I do is I fold it in half and then cut that middle circle out. Okay, and if you do want to see this at a regular speed, you can go up into the settings and slow down the speed so you can watch the whole thing really good. Here I take tacky glue and I paint some tacky glue all the way around. Okay, and it is tacky, like it goes by its name because my brush was sticking to it. Okay, so there I put the fabric down, smooth it all out, and stuff. And you see that glue dries clear, so I'm not worried about it. Then I cut out the inner circle. And I was not gonna put the top poster paper. That's why the top of the hat. But then I decided to do it because if not, the hat would have really sunk in. I wanted to sink in a little bit, but it was too much. So what I did was I just glued down some of it up against the table, and then I lifted it up and then just started squeezing the edges and putting it all in, and then and attaching it. And then there I put the tacky glue on the top and lay the material on the top of the hat. And there his hat is done. It's all dirty and dingy, but it is what it is. Oh, and I'm also gonna do the sides of it, the material. So I cut a strip 2 inches wide again, and then I just wrap it around the hat. Okay, and the top hat part. And you'll see me doing that with the tacky glue. And I do that, I brush it on, and what I do is I overlap that poster paper there, so you don't see that so much, because that one, like the poster paper really like wouldn't stay all the way down. And what I did was I glued the fabric over top of it and I pulled it down then, and it stuck to the tacky glue really good then. So you didn't see the seam line like that. And then I just cut the seam line and it was done. And there you go. I show you him. And the hat is all dirty and everything from the stuff, but that's okay because he's all burnt and dirty anyways. And there I'm attaching the arms, so I pushed them in right there on the shoulder, and I put glue all around the edges. I do the other arm, and right there, you see I pushed it in all the way. And then the next one I do, I think, is the legs. I think I do the legs now. And there are two different size rollers. There's one that is fatter and one that's smaller. Oh, I glue the beads on for the hands too. So the arms are the skinnier rollers, and then the legs are the bigger ones. So I have to dress him in order for me to be able to do the legs, because if not, then I won't be able to glue the legs and stuff. All right. So, but okay, I guess I'm gonna do the his gloves first. So here I take the leather and I cut it. I mark it at, I think it was an inch or an inch and a half. What was it? I'll tell you right now. Inch and a half. Okay. And then so I cut that whole line like that, and then I measure once I cut it, okay, the leather, I wrap it around and see about how wide it's going to be, and that's about, I think it was an inch, no, 2 inches. Yeah, it was about 2 inches, and then I overlap it when I glue it on. So I take it, glue the bottom to the foam from the roller, okay, and then I glue it together like that, okay, and I make sure that it's in his inside of his arm. Then after that, I take these forks, right? And I cut a hole on the side of the leather because that's where his thumb is going to be. And I take the teeth of these forks and I cut little pieces, and the bent part I face it towards him. Okay, so it looks almost like claws, and that's what he has, like claw knives. Okay, so I put one in the little hole, and then in the big hole I put four of them. Okay, and I took the thumb out because it was too long. I cut that one a little bit shorter. Then I put glue in the on the top there and squeeze together the hand so it attaches to the forks, so it looks like the glove is, cohesively closed. Okay, and I do the same thing with the other side. Now I'm gonna attach the legs, and I'm gonna follow that circle, the circle from the stick that I had. All right, and what I do is I put the edges of the roller right up to that, and glue them in and push them in. Okay, so they're nice and centered, and like the spacing is exactly perfect. There I put on the pants and I pull them all the way up, and then pull his shirt down. Then I pull the pant legs up, and I do not want to glue these shoes in. They're so adorable. So what I do is I tie them real, real super tight. And then I tuck the shoe tie inside the jeans. Okay? And that's all for that. And I'll show you him here in a minute, what he looks like. And then I did do the scenery and I did record it, but I did not upload it to the video because this is already 45 minutes. If I would have done that, the sceneries to all of them, we wouldn't have had time. So you'll see it better in the final reveal. Here is the next DIY. We're gonna do a scarecrow. All right, and here I show you that I put the potty flow in and all that. And then I completely forgot that I needed to put wire in here. So I end up taking everything out, okay? And this scarecrow has a story, okay? So what I do is I measure the body and I take the cotton out and I cut the torso, and then I cut the arms, and the arms are exactly 9 inches long, because I take a whole inch to wrap it around the twine. Then I put hot glue on it, let it sit for a minute. Then I take it and I flip it over to the other side, let it sit for a minute, and then you could do either masking tape or painter's tape, whichever, and just wrap the arms to the body. And that's exactly what I did. And one side is a little bit longer than the other side, as you see, and I end up cutting it off. It was like a ½ inch longer. That's why I realized that I did an error there, okay? And then the bottom of the torso, I bend it, and then I feed the wire through, okay? And it's the same measurement as the arms, and then I do the same step. I glue right there to the joint and wrap it with painter's tape. Then these socks are really thin, so I just push the wire through. And then the one side of the one arm, I have to take it out again because it's a little bit higher than the other one. You see it? So I pull it out and then mark it exactly where I want it to poke out at. Then I line it up. And then there I go. I stuff the front. I stuff the back. Then I wrap the rubber band. And then I tie it with that white twine. I wrap it and tie it in a knot. Okay? And the story behind this is, there was a witch long time ago who was jealous of him and his lover, and she got upset, and because she was jealous, because she loved him. She was falling in love with him too, but she was married. She has a wizard husband, okay? But she still put a spell on him, okay, and turned him into a scarecrow. So that's why you're going to see that later on, there's a little heart on his hat. And there's going to be a storyline to this. There's a part 2 to this video. So stay tuned to it, because there's going to be some more gnome crafting, and you're really going to like it. It's part of the story. And then I'll tell you the rest of the story. Now here, I took that cotton twine and I wrapped it back and forth 3 times on the end, and then I just ran it twice down the arm, okay? And you'll see why I do that later on, okay? And I do that to the other arm and to the legs, okay? Here I take the sun-kissed peach and I paint the head, paint the nose. Then I take the hot glue and I glue the head on and push that little stub that was there through the head. Here I take the shirt material that I'm going to use, and I wrap it around the body and do the measurements from that. And then I just take it and make it nice and straight. Then I take hot glue and I trim only the sides and the bottom edge, okay? I hem them, but I don't hem the top part, because you're not going to even see it, and there's going to be straw all over the place up there. You're not going to see it at all. So I don't bother to hem the top. I only do the bottom and the sides. All right, there I go, dead center. I add glue, wrap it. I find out exactly where the arms are going to be. And I'm sorry, I got off camera and I snipped like a star, like an X there. And feed the arm through. Do another one. Do the X and feed the arm through. Then I take the front of it. And I want it a little bit loose. So I glue it like that. So it's a little bit baggy. Okay. Then I take the edges of the top. And I snip them in little notches. And then after I do that, I glue the whole top, okay? And any loose ends, I just go back and I detail. I'm sorry you didn't see me gluing the notch, but I glued the notches to the body. I'm sorry it was off camera. I didn't realize that. Okay, and there you go. You see how it's all notched? Okay, now I'm going to get the fabric again. And I'm going to cut it 4 inches wide and 5 inches long. And the reason why I'm doing them longer than the arm is because I'm going to cuff the ends, okay? So it looks like a button up, okay? So there you see that, well, you don't see that I have the ends. I'm sorry, I did it off camera. And I double cuffed it. I didn't realize I was off camera. I am so sorry. And you kind of see it there towards the edge. And then I do the right side facing, and then I turn it inside out. And I do the same exact thing to the other side. Maybe if I recorded it, maybe I realized I was off camera. Nope, I didn't realize I was off camera. Excuse me, I'm sorry for coughing. But yeah, there, I turn it inside out. And I show you that I had a little bit of problems with the cuff there. And I glued it. And what I do is I put the seam facing down towards the bottom. I glue it to the wire right at the seam line. And then I squeeze it together. And then I completely close it and glue it right underneath the armpit. I do the same thing with the other side, okay? and glue it right to the armpit. You're not going to see none of this because between all the straws from the beard and his hair, you're not going to see it. Okay? So next thing is I had a pair of old jeans that I cut, and I wanted to use the hem from the original part of the jean. So all I did was cut this at 7 inches tall from the hem upwards. And I go straight across and I cut it like 1/8 of an inch away from the line because I'm going to hem that top part. So that's what I do right now. I just add some glue and hem it. And I'm sorry, I'm off camera again. I didn't even realize. I thought that it was there, but you could see some of it. I just keep pulling it closer to me. And then what I do is I measure where his crotch area is. I dot it in the inside right at it. Okay. And I turn it inside out, and then it's 3.5 and 3.5 to each side, right? So to make the center point. So then I go over 1 inch from the center on the bottom, and then up on the top I go from the center over 1/2 inch. So it makes a triangle, but instead of the point on the top, it's squared off, okay? And that way you don't have that crinkling, okay? And then there I just glue the seams together to the legs, and then I cut these little notches, and they're about 1/2 inch apart from one another. Well, 1 inch apart from one another, except for the middle is like 3/4. But you'll see what I do. Once I feed the cotton twine that's there. All right, when I cut a piece and I glue the tip, and then I feed it from the inside. At first I do it from the outside, and I was like, no. I want it coming from the inside, starting from the inside. So I started from the inside, and I weave it through each one of the holes, okay, from the inside out, okay, so you could see the twine a little bit, okay? And then, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I was off camera again. But then when I get to the center there, I cut 2 holes in the front so I could feed the yarn, the twine, the cotton twine through it. And there I go. I fed it through. Then I dress him up, put the pants on, I tighten it. Now you see how it sagged on the side? That's okay, because it's good. I tie that as tight as possible right there. Then I go in the back and I pleat it and glue it. And then I do the same thing with the front. And then those sides, I pleat them and glue them. And there I glued on the buttons. Okay, and now we're going to do the hat. We're going to do the circle of the 2-inch circle, but the inside of it is too small because the circle is 2.5 inches. So I take this container I had that was the perfect size, and I measure that out, and then I take and cut the whole bottom out because I'm gonna make it. Do I cut the circles out? And I'm sorry, I'm off camera. Don't even realize. I don't know. It looked like I was filming it because I keep checking my camera, so I don't understand. So here I line up everything to be straight, and then I make it the hat to be 3 inches tall. Okay. And then what I do is I cut that off so it's squared. Then I take the top of the hat, and that's how I cut it a little bit bigger than what it is, and I cut it in an angle because I don't want it to be like a whole top hat. I want it to be kind of like forming almost like a triangle, but not a triangle kind of shape. And then I put the right sides facing each other, and I start gluing the edges to it. If you see me there, I take the top part and I come closer to the camera and show you me gluing it. That is weird, because when I was recording it, I was like right underneath the camera while I was gluing that together. I am so sorry. And then I glued the edges so I could do the seam, and then I flip it over, and then I do the same thing here. See, and you see how my hands are high up because I was right under the camera, but I guess the angle wasn't right or something, that it got off camera, and I'm so sorry that happened. But I take the brim and face it the right side facing each other, and I go around the edges and glue that. All right. Here I take the straw. See, it must have been something wrong with my camera, because you see how the view changed? I brought it like closer. I must have hit a button or something, and it probably shrunk the video. I don't know. So here I take straw, and I not straw, and I'm folding it in half there, and it's raffia, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna glue it starting at the seam, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue it from the beginning of the one seam line to the other side of the other seam line, and you'll see it. I'm going to show you that. I bring it up to the camera and show you that I'm going to go from seam to seam. That's why I'm standing, because so I could see better, and my head keeps getting in the way, and I'm so sorry about that. My hair's a mess too. So you see it, and I glue it in the inside of the hat, you see, and then I explained to you, see, that I'm going to go from that seam to that seam, a little bit past it, and I'll be back, I tell you. And there you go. You see the straw, that it's hanging down. And then I start gluing it all around his face to make, underneath his nose to make the beard. I do that, and then I trim it down into like a triangle almost kind of shape and give him a haircut. Then I start doing the same thing for the arms, and my head keeps getting in the way. Oh, no, here I'm doing the brim. I'm sorry. I go and I wrap twine around the top, and I twist it all around the edges, and then I tie it in a knot, and then I add 3 little like orangey yellow flowers to it. And there, right there, I was showing you that I was going to make a bow, and I was trying to do a Brenda bow, and then I ended up doing something else and figure it out, and then I don't even use it. All right, so that's what I did there. And so then I start putting the straw in. Now you're going to see later on that I put a heart on the hat, and that heart is a magical heart, okay? It's what can break the curse. and because because of love, he can be saved. So we'll explain that more in detail in the next video when you see the next gnomes that I'm going to be making that go together with this scenery. Okay, so here he's a cursed scarecrow, and he's really sad, and the crows are not even scared of him, and the birds and the butterflies, they sit and perch on him and everything because he's not scary, and the witch gets really mad. So you're gonna hear the story more in detail in the next video. And I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what happened, but my camera, my recording like jumped, and I had to cut into my second DIY. I don't know what happened, but here I'm taking two Dollar Tree with warlocks, and I'm gonna convert one into a witch and the other one into a warlock. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you watch while I play some music, okay, so you can enjoy some music. It's very easy. All I'm doing is just upgrading these two, making one warlock a witch and making the other one a warlock. Okay, so enjoy watching while I craft. Okay, and I'm gonna play some music for you.
Baila, baila conmigo, que yo al paso te sigo. Hey. Seamos más que amigos, amigos, amigos. Hey. Solo tú me sigues al ritmo de la pista y yo me veo como chica de revista. Baby, conmigo a ti se te va la vista. Puedo quemarte solo con una pizca. Arriba y abajo, uy, ay. Prendimos, apagamos. Arriba y abajo, ay. Prendimos, apagamos nunca. Baila, baila conmigo, que yo al paso te sigo. Seamos más que amigos, amigos, amigos. Baila, baila conmigo, que yo al paso te sigo. Seamos más que amigos, amigos, amigos. Seamos más que amigos. Seamos más que amigos. Yeah, yeah. Baila, baila conmigo, que yo al paso te sigo. Seamos más que amigos, amigos, amigos. Solo tú me sigues al ritmo de la pista y yo me veo como chica de revista. Baby, conmigo a ti se te va la vista. Puedo quemarte solo con una pizca. Arriba y abajo, uy, ay. Prendimos, apagamos. Arriba y abajo, ay. Prendimos, apagamos nunca. Baila, baila conmigo, que yo al paso te sigo. Seamos más que amigos, amigos,
Okay, well now here we are at the final reveal, and here are the pictures of everything with the little sceneries that I created for every single one of them. I want to thank you. Check out our playlist down below. They should be myself and Tiffany, and sometimes we have other collaborators that join us. So check out the playlist down below in the description box. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed my Freddy Krueger, the story of my scarecrow, and the two witches, that the witch and the warlock that put the spell on the scarecrow. Okay, I'm glad to have you here today, and I want to thank you, because without you guys I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. So please like, share, and comment on the video and on the playlist. Go enjoy it. Tiffany will be waiting for you there and to share what her creations were today. So thank you so much. I love you guys. And check out all the information that I have down in the description box below. Everything should be there for you. And I'm going to be a few minutes late because of the complication that I had with the sound on my video. But I'm here. I'm going to be here. All right. Love you guys. Thank you. And have a great rest of your day. Stay blessed. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Bye.